Well, I'm going to close it out tonight with my own testimony. I haven't shared this, but maybe on a few Facebook Lives, and I've never done like an encapsulating everything that CILI has done for me, which is absolutely remarkable. And again, we got started with this 3.5 years ago. We were sitting around a table with Brad and Marcia Hager at dinner, hadn't seen them in several years. We were 2.5 hour dinner, and they were being very silent about what they were doing. And finally, I just said, Brad, tell me what is going on. And that's when he started telling us about Devin and the story and how they came across these scientists and how it changed Devin's life and how they had their own individual testimonies with the product as well. And I said, Brad, I don't know anything about all that, but I do know that if you're and Marcia are behind this, then I'm 100% in, because I know who the owners of this company really are. We've known them for over 20 years. Little did I know that me as a healthy individual was about to experience so many different changes, health benefits that I never expected to experience. At that time, I was flying for Southwest Airlines. I was a captain there, and my schedule was very busy. I was on the road 16 to 20 days a month, sleeping in strange hotel rooms, strange beds, strange pillows. As you know, that is never a comfortable thing. Strange noises going around and stuff. And I had insomnia. I had real bad sleep issues. And of course, you don't want a pilot that's tired, right? You want a pilot that's well rested up there, where you put your life in their hands. And so I was really seeking an answer for my sleeping issues. And CILI delivered totally unexpected, to the point where I used to not like the bed at all. I dreaded going to sleep at night. I dreaded crawling into that bed in the past. And now I cannot tell you how much I look forward to getting into that bed. And typically I will sleep a solid 6 to 8 hours. I slept 10.5 hours last night. That is unheard of for me. And it's a lot to do with how these products are working with the body. If your body's a little bit out of balance, it helps brings it into balance. So that's just one. I got a list of 11 here, and I could go on in detail with each one of these, but I'm going to kind of just give you the crust of it. And I'm sure I've left some of those out. So the very first thing I noticed when I started taking the CILI Swish, being a pilot with Southwest, very busy job and everything, and again, having some sleep issues, the very first thing I noticed when I got into the cockpit after I'd been on the product for about 3 days, I got into the cockpit, and all of a sudden it just looked and felt different. All the brain fog was gone. Clarity, focus was completely different. We hear that a lot from people that have busy jobs, that are very under stress type jobs. That's one of the very first testimonies I will hear from them. And then the increased overall energy level went way up. I mean, I'm a pretty high energy guy to begin with, but I was noticing that even on the road, I had my energy when I would go out for my runs, and then getting up in the morning and just feeling fresh. And it was just very different for me. And then about 6 weeks into this, taking the product every single day, I've never missed a day in 3.5 years that I've been on this product. And about 6 weeks into it, all of a sudden I started to notice that I would wake up in these strange hotel rooms. Normally in the past, it would take me about 30 minutes to start stretching and getting all the creaks out. I mean, literally, I had creaks in the elbow, creaks in the knee, my neck from all the years of flying the F-16. I've got all kinds of neck and back issues. And all of a sudden, I noticed it was about the 6 week point. I wake up and I'm not having to do that. I woke up out of bed, and I told Brad, I felt like the Tin Man, and all of a sudden I was all lubed up again. You know, it was like somebody went around with the oil can, and all my joints were fine. And it is like that today. It's even probably better. As Becky mentioned, we'll go out and it's our gym. I go out for an hour and a half, 2 hours. I ski really hard in the morning, and then I go and work our business. And I'll tell you what, it's hard for people that are a lot younger than me to keep up with me. And I'm very much convinced it's because the CILI product has actually made me feel younger over time, for sure. And then the skin and nails, that was probably around that same point. All of a sudden I noticed my skin was so much moisture than it had been. I've always had dry skin issues, especially when we lived in Arizona, and we still lived in Arizona at that time. In the wintertime, my hands would get very dry and cracky, not as bad as Lisa's, but it would be very painful. And after being on CILI Swish, I started it in March of 2019. That winter, I had no skin issues whatsoever. Some people ask, well, why don't you have glutathione, or why don't you have collagen in your product? Well, the reason is because we are helping the body produce that naturally. And if you can give that body the opportunity to produce more of that naturally for what it needs to work with the body, why wouldn't you do it that way, right? So you're getting that side benefit as well. And the nails and the hair, I used to be bald, the back top of my head, and I've got a full head of hair again. And when that first picture, before and after picture came in from that came into CILI, not only did it blow Brad and myself and the scientists away, but the very first thing I did when I saw that is I reached back my head, and that was the first time I noticed I had a full head of hair. So that was somewhere in the area of about 2 months of being on the product. It was pretty funny. Yes, Heidi, it was actually really funny. The other thing I noticed is my blood pressure. I've always been borderline blood pressure issues. My doctors for years have been telling me you're going to be more than likely on blood pressure medication. My mom is on blood pressure medication. It's probably hereditary. I don't know, but I'm not wanting to go into medications, especially when I was a pilot. And that can be a very detrimental thing for pilots as well. When you start getting on blood pressure medications, it can create issues for your medical. So I resisted it as much as possible. My blood pressure is absolutely 100% perfect. And it's been like that now for over 3 years. So it's not a coincidence. This is an ongoing thing. And the only thing I can attribute it to is the switch, because it's the only thing that I did different. And then at the 6-month point that I was on this product, went and saw our naturopath there in Phoenix where we were living. And the last time I had had my blood work done was 2 years prior. And so 6 months of being on Swish, when we went back in for the visit for the results, he's like, what are you doing? Because everything came back normal. The only thing I was very little low in was one of the vitamins. And so I take a liquid vitamin supplement just for that, but it's a hereditary thing. And because we have it in our product, it's just an issue that I have personally, but he was blown away. My cholesterol was perfect. Everything was perfect across the board. And like Elka mentioned, we have a new naturopathic doctor here now, and we're near where we live, and went in there and we had him. We brought in our products. He uses a machine to test them. And he goes, 99% of the people that bring in a product here that they're taking is garbage. And he tells them to quit taking it because it's not doing you any good. He said, this is absolutely unbelievable. He's never seen it. He's taking the product right now. He has never seen a product test so well. So he was very encouraged by that as well. So that was a benefit. My scars, I had an ACL damage on my knee back in 1991. And, back then the surgeries weren't as good as they are today. And I had a very nasty scar on my knee. And again, around the 6-month point, I looked down one day and I'm like, my God, the scar is almost gone. Just the other day, I have another one on my elbow and I'm like, that one is just about gone now too. So again, the skin issues and what it's doing in helping repair those cells or helping those cells to rejuvenate in a different way has been really mind blowing for me. The gums in my mouth, I had a lot of issues with deterioration in the gums of my mouth. My gums are beautiful right now. I actually had a few years ago, even after I had started taking Swish, I had some loose teeth and I was really kind of concerned about it. I don't have that anymore. Again, I've been on this product for about 3 years. So my encouragement to all of you is don't get off this product. Even if you don't notice a result right away, it is doing something positive for your body. We know it. It's science. If you believe in science, if you believe what these scientists have done with these nutritionals, then you understand you don't want to get off of this. Dr. Jeff Young was who's a member with us. He's one of the top 5 spinal decompression specialists in the entire country. And he was talking about one night about how, this is why you're going to start noticing the differences. The longer you're on the product, because of how the cells are regenerating. All right. So, it takes about 4 months for the red blood cells to completely reproduce themselves. And it takes longer for other cells within the body. So the longer you're on this product, the better the results are going to be for you. And I can tell you that with my teeth, absolutely. They're 100% rock solid in there now, which is really cool. And then in March of 2021, 2 years ago now, I broke my knee skiing. So yeah, it's a little bit of a hazardous sport. Long story short, like Elka, I never used an opioid. The surgeon said this is a very painful break. And I got to tell you, it was very painful. but I didn't want to start on an opioid. And all I've heard is nightmares about opioids. I didn't want to put that into my body. I was able to manage it with this and the relief spray. That's all I took. And I did take some Tylenol and Advil alternated for the first couple of days, but for the most part thereafter, I did it all with the swish and the relief spray. And the surgeon was very impressed with the quick healing and how well it healed as well. And I'll attribute that to the swish as well. I have a chemist friend that said the CBG in the product, which I did not know, is actually really good for bone regeneration. So maybe that helped as well. I don't know. And then overall endurance, I've noticed that as well. Like I said, with the skiing and just running. I mean, we live here. Our altitude that we live at is 9,500 feet. And during the summer months, I'm out there running the hills and the mountains. And in the wintertime, I'm out here skiing. So I can tell you that at 60 years old, in 2 days, Saturday, oh my gosh, it's happening. I can tell you, I feel like I'm 45, 50 years old. I just feel amazing.